It was a cold, rainy evening. The gym was full of noise. Heavy bags were shaking, ropes were snapping, young boxers were shouting, laughing, and throwing fast punches. The sound of gloves hitting leather echoed in the air. Inside the gym, everyone was busy. Strong bodies, fast feet, and loud music. This was a place for the young and tough. No one noticed the door open slowly. An old man walked in. He wore a long black coat. His shoes were old and muddy. His face was tired, full of deep lines. His hair was white, and his back was slightly bent. In his hand, he held an old gym bag. The laughter in the gym got louder. One boy in red gloves said, "Look at that! Is that someone's grandpa?" Another laughed. "Maybe he's lost." "This is not a hospital!" The old man said nothing. He looked around the gym. Slowly, he walked to a bench in the corner. No one helped him. No one welcomed him. Everyone was watching and mocking. He opened his bag and took out a pair of old boxing gloves. The gloves were faded and cracked. One of the boys shouted, "Hey, old man, those gloves belong in a museum." The trainer of the gym, Mr. Javed, was watching from the office window. His eyes grew wide when he saw the old man. He stepped forward, but stopped. Something held him back. The old man didn't look at anyone. He walked to a punching bag in the corner, far from the others. He touched the bag gently like it was something sacred. Then he threw one soft punch. The boys laughed louder, but then he threw another punch. Thump! The sound shook the gym. The laughing stopped. His second punch was not soft. It was hard, powerful. The bag swung wildly. Everyone turned to look. The boy in red gloves, Riz, stepped forward. He was the loudest and strongest of them all. He was fast, young, and full of pride. "Hey, Grandpa," Riz said, walking over. "Didn't know you had arms under that coat." The old man looked at him. His eyes were calm but deep. There was something in his stare. Something that made Riz take one step back. "You think you can box?" Riz asked. The old man said nothing. Riz smiled. "Come on, then. Show me something." Mr. Javed walked in between them. "Riz, go back to training," he said. "But sir, this old guy—" "I said go back." Riz frowned and walked away. The old man gave Mr. Javed a small nod. Mr. Javed looked into the old man's eyes. "I thought I'd never see you again." The old man only said one word. "Time." Mr. Javed nodded. "You can use the corner." The gym started buzzing again, but this time quieter. The boys were still watching. The old man put on his gloves and started punching the bag. Slowly at first, then faster. Thump, thump, thump. Each punch was stronger than before. The bag shook with every hit. One of the younger boys whispered, "Who is he?" Another replied, "I don't know, but he's not normal." The trainer watched from behind, his eyes full of memory. He walked over to the wall where many photos were hanging. Boxers, fights, trophies. He pointed to an old black-and-white photo. In it, a young man held a trophy in one hand and a little boy in the other. "That's him," Mr. Javed whispered. One of the boys came closer. "That's the same man?" "Yes," Mr. Javed said. "Long ago. He was the best boxer I ever trained." The boys stared at the photo. Back at the bag, the old man kept punching. Sweat ran down his face. His breathing was heavy, but his eyes were sharp, focused. Riz was watching from the other side. He felt angry, jealous. Everyone was looking at the old man now. No one was watching Riz anymore. He went to Mr. Javed. "Who is he? Why is everyone looking at him like he's a hero?" Mr. Javed didn't answer. "Fine," Riz said. "If he's a real boxer, let him fight me." "He's not here to fight," Mr. Javed replied. "I think he's scared," Riz said loudly, looking at the others. "Old men should stay home." The old man stopped punching. He turned his head slowly and looked at Riz. Their eyes met. Riz felt something in that look, something heavy, like a mountain. For a moment, Riz wanted to step back again, but he didn't. "I'll fight you," Riz said. "Tomorrow, in the ring." The old man didn't reply. He just took off his gloves and sat down on the bench. Jim went quiet again. Later that night, the old man was the last to leave. He picked up his bag and walked out slowly. Outside, the rain was still falling. He stood for a moment under the streetlight. Then he looked up at the sky and whispered something. No one heard what he said, but in his eyes there was fire. Not anger. Not fear. It was something else. A purpose. The next morning, the gym was quiet. Only a few boxers were there, stretching and warming up. The sun had just started to rise. The air was cold and still, but the old man was already in the corner, rapping, his hands with slow, careful fingers. His eyes were focused. His face was calm. He didn't talk to anyone. He just trained. 1-2 punches. Left hook, step back, duck, right hook, uppercut. The rhythm was beautiful. His movements were not fast, but they were sharp. His body moved like it remembered every fight, every lesson, every pain. The boys came in one by one. Some stared at him, some whispered. But no one laughed today. Even Riz stayed quiet, for now. Mr. Javed watched everything from the side. He saw the way the old man trained. Like a soldier preparing for war, Mr. Javed walked over. "You still remember," he said softly. The old man didn't stop punching. "You never forget." They stood in silence for a while. "You didn't come here just to hit a bag," Mr. Javed said. The old man nodded. Mr. Javed asked, "Then why?" The old man stopped. He looked at the wall where the photo hung. The photo of his younger self, strong, proud, holding a trophy and a smiling little boy. The old man whispered, "He wanted to fight like me." Mr. Javed's face changed. He remembered now. "Your son?" The old man nodded again. "But I told him no. I told him to live a better life." Mr. Javed asked, "What happened?" The old man said nothing. His eyes looked far away, into a memory too painful to speak. Then Riz walked in, loud and full of energy. "Well, well," Riz said, clapping his hands. "The old man is still here." He walked to the center of the gym. "So are we fighting, or what?" Everyone looked up. The old man didn't respond. "I'm talking to you," Riz said, pointing. "I said I'll fight you. Or are you too scared?" The old man looked at him quietly. Then, for the first time, he spoke to Riz. "I will fight you," he said, "but not today." Riz laughed. "Why? Need time to take your medicine?" The old man said. 3 weeks. Riz frowned. "Why 3 weeks?" The old man walked closer. His voice was soft but serious. "Because in 3 weeks," he said, "I will be ready, and you will know why you should have stayed quiet." The gym went silent again. Riz looked angry. "Fine, 3 weeks. But don't run away." He turned and walked off. Mr. Javed looked at the old man. "Are you sure?" the old man said. "He needs a lesson, not just in boxing, but in respect." Mr. Javed nodded slowly. He saw the pain in the old man's eyes, but also the fire. Later, that night, the old man walked home. His apartment was small and quiet. On the wall was only one photo, the same photo, him and his son. He sat down and opened a box. Inside were his old gloves, his real ones, the ones he wore in his final fight. He touched them gently. The leather was old but still strong. He closed his eyes and a memory came back. Flashback, the sound of a crowd, lights flashing, his son in the front row, smiling, holding. A sign, "Go Papa," the old man, young and strong, stepping into the ring. He won that night. It was his last fight, After that, he promised to never fight again. He wanted to protect his son. He wanted to live a quiet life. But one day his son said, "I want to box too, Papa." The old man said no. Again and again, he said no. But the boy didn't listen. One day the boy entered an underground match. No. Headgear. No doctor. He took one wrong hit, and he never got up again. The old man opened his eyes. His hands were shaking. He placed the gloves on the table. "I couldn't protect you," he whispered. "But maybe I can teach him." Back at the gym, Riz was training hard. He punched fast, kicked the bag, and ran around the ring. But he was also proud. Too proud. "I'm going to destroy that old man," he said. But Mr. Javid wasn't sure. He watched Riz closely. "You think he's just an old man," Mr. Javid said. "But he's not." Riz laughed. "I'm young, fast, strong. He's just bones and memory." Mr. Javid shook his head. "That man used to beat champions. He was once the king of this gym." "I don't care," Riz said. "This is my time now." Mr. Javid looked away. "We'll see." For the next few days, the old man trained in silence. He never showed pain, but his body was tired, his back hurt, his hands swelled. Still, he came every morning. He trained with discipline. He didn't talk, he just punched. One boy came to him one day and asked, "Sir, can you teach me that move?" The old man nodded. Soon, two more joined. They saw something in him, something real. Riz noticed this, and he didn't like it. He walked over and shouted, "Why are you learning from him? He's finished!" But the younger boys didn't answer. They just kept training quietly, copying the old man's movements. Riz grew more angry each day. The attention was slipping from him, and he didn't like it. At night, the old man sat alone, in his room. He looked at the gloves, and he whispered, 3 weeks. He picked up a photo of his son and smiled sadly. "This is for you." Days passed. The old man kept training in silence. Every morning before the sun came up, he entered the gym. His steps were slow, but his heart was strong. He wrapped his hands, put on his gloves, and hit the punching bag again and again. Thump. 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 He didn't speak much, he didn't smile, but his eyes, they were alive. The other boys watched from the side. They started to copy his moves. 1-2 punches. Right hook. Block. Step back. He didn't teach with words. He taught with action. Even Mr. Javid began helping him again. He held the pads, fixed his stance, and whispered advice. "You still have it," the trainer said one day. The old man replied, "Let's see if I can finish what I started." Meanwhile, Riz trained louder and harder, but he was not focused. He watched the others watching the old man. He felt jealous. "That old guy is playing mind games," Riz told his friend. "He's nothing." But deep inside, he started to feel nervous. He saw how the old man didn't slow down, how his punches got stronger, how his silence made others listen. One rainy evening after training, the old man left the gym quietly. Instead of going home, he took a bus to the graveyard. The sky was dark. Wind blew through the trees. He walked slowly between the stones, holding a small bunch of white flowers. He stopped in front of a grave. It was clean, fresh. The name on it, Zion Khan, beloved son, 2002-2022. The old man knelt down. He placed the flowers on the grave. His hands were shaking. "I told you not to fight," he whispered. "But you wanted to be like me." He closed his eyes. A tear fell down his cheek. "I failed you. I said I'd protect you, but I didn't." The wind blew harder. He opened his eyes and looked at the sky. "That boy at the gym, Riz, he reminds me of you. Proud, brave, but blind." He placed his hand on the cold stone. "I couldn't save you, but maybe I can save him. He stood up slowly and walked away into the night. Back at the gym, Riz found a group of boys watching an old boxing video on someone's phone. "Hey, what are you watching?" he asked. One boy said, "It's him, the old man. Look." On the screen, a young version of the old man was in the ring. Fast, sharp, dangerous. The crowd in the video was shouting his name. "Sultan! Sultan! Sultan!" "That's him?" Riz asked. "Yes," the boy said. His name was Sultan Khan, champion in 1998, 2001, and 2004. They called him the Silent Storm. Riz stared at the video. In the ring, Sultan knocked out a man twice, his size. The screen froze on his victory pose, one hand in the air, the other holding a little boy. Riz's mouth went dry. "That boy," he said. "That's his son?" "Yes," said another voice. It was Mr. Javid. Riz turned. Mr. Javid walked, closer. Zion, his only child. He loved him more than anything. "What happened to him?" Riz asked. Mr. Javid sighed. "He wanted to box like his father, but Sultan said no. He had seen enough pain. He wanted Zion to have a safer life. But Zion didn't listen?" "No," Mr. Javid said. "He entered an illegal fight behind his father's back. No protection, no doctor, one punch, and he never woke up." Riz felt a cold shiver in his chest. He blamed himself. Mr. Javid said, "He left boxing, left the world. We didn't see him for years." Riz looked down. "Now," Mr. Javid continued, "he's back, not to win, but to teach." Riz was silent. The room was quiet. Only the sound of the old video played, cheers from a past that still echoed. That night, Riz couldn't sleep. He lay, in bed staring at the ceiling. His mind was full of thoughts. I made fun of him. I called him weak. But he's a legend. He sat up and looked at his own gloves. They felt heavier now. The next day at the gym, Riz trained harder than ever. But he was quiet. No jokes, no loud words, only focus. He looked at the old man differently now. He didn't respect him just because he was strong. He respected him because he had pain and still stood tall. Meanwhile, Sultan, the old man, continued his routine. But his body was starting to hurt. He coughed during training. His knees shook after long rounds. Mr. Javid noticed. "Are you okay?" he asked. Sultan nodded. "It's only pain." "But you're not young anymore," the trainer warned. "I'm not fighting to win," Sultan said. "I'm fighting to finish." Mr. Javid didn't understand. "Finish what?" he asked. Sultan pointed to the photo on the wall. That chapter. One day, as Sultan left the gym, a news crew stood outside. "Are you the old man from the viral video?" a reporter asked. Sultan looked confused. She showed him the video, his punch on the bag, his training, his stare. It had over 2 million views. "You're famous again," she said. Sultan didn't smile. "I'm not here for the camera," he said. "Then why?" the reporter asked. He looked at the gym door, and then up at the sky. "I'm here for my son." He walked away. Inside the gym, Riz watched from the window. His eyes were full of thoughts. Something inside him was changing, and he didn't know if it was fear or respect. The sun rose slowly on a new morning. The gym opened early, but something felt different. The air was heavy, silent. Everyone was waiting. The fight was now just 1 week away, the day when the old lion and the young tiger would meet in the ring. Sultan entered the gym, like always. Slow steps, calm face, strong eyes. But his body was hurting. Every movement was harder now. His back ached. His knees cracked. His breathing got heavy faster than before. But he didn't stop. He wrapped his hands, put on his gloves, and started to punch, thump, thump, thump. Each punch told a story of love, pain, and loss. Mr. Javid stood behind him. "You're pushing too hard," he said. Sultan didn't reply. "You could walk away," Javed added. "No one would judge you." Sultan kept punching. Then he said softly, "I'm not fighting for them." "Then who?" Sultan looked at the wall, the photo of him and his son. "I'm fighting for him, for one last time." Meanwhile, Riz was in the ring, sparring with another fighter. His moves were sharp, fast, and aggressive. He knocked the boy down quickly. But when the trainer clapped, Riz didn't smile. He didn't boast. He looked serious. He walked out of the ring, breathing hard. He looked at the old man from across the gym. Sultan was still training, still focused, still silent. Riz walked to Mr. Javed. "I want to know more about him." Mr. Javed raised his eyebrows. "Why?" he asked. "Because I'm not sure anymore," Riz said. "I don't know if I'm the stronger one or just the louder one." Later that day, Mr. Javed told Riz the whole story. How Sultan grew up in a poor village. How he learned boxing by watching street fights. How he moved to the city with nothing but a dream. How he trained day and night until he became a champion. How he never let fame change him, and how he walked away from it all when his son died. He was more than a fighter, Mr. Javed said. He was a father with a broken heart. Riz was quiet. He looked down at his gloves and said, "I understand now." That night, Sultan sat alone in his small apartment. He looked through an old photo album. Photos of his son, Zayan, laughing. Zayan wearing gloves too big for his hands. Zayan on his shoulders. Sultan closed the book. He whispered, "I'm sorry, son. I stopped fighting too late, but maybe I can still do one thing right." He stood up slowly and picked up his gloves. The next morning, the gym was full. News reporters, cameras, new boxers, old champions. Everyone had come to see the two fighters. The old and the young. Riz stepped into the center of the ring and took the mic. "I want to say something," he said. The gym went quiet. "I made fun of this man when he first walked in. I called him weak. I was wrong." He looked at Sultan. "You showed me what real strength is. It's not just muscles or speed. It's what you carry inside you." The crowd clapped. Sultan nodded but said nothing. Then Riz said, "I still want this fight. Not because I want to win, but because I want to learn." Sultan stepped forward slowly and took the mic. His voice was soft but clear. "You remind me of my son. He was strong too. But pride is dangerous in boxing and in life." He looked at Riz directly. "This fight is not about who hits harder. It's about who learns faster." The crowd cheered. Mr. Javed raised his hands. "Fight will happen in 6 days. Same time, same place." Everyone was excited. Over the next few days, the gym became more alive than ever before. Cameras filmed every move. Social media was full of posts. Old lion vs. young tiger. Sultan returns. Silent Storm is back. But Sultan didn't care about fame. He trained like he always did, in silence, with purpose and pain. One night after training, Sultan collapsed in the locker room. Mr. Javed ran to him. "Sultan, can you hear me?" The old man opened his eyes slowly. "I'm fine." "No, you're not. You need a doctor," I said. "I'm fine," Sultan whispered. Javed helped him sit up. "You don't have to do this," he said again. "Let someone else carry the story." Sultan shook his head. "My time is not over yet." The next day, Riz came early to the gym. He waited for Sultan. When the old man arrived, Riz walked up to him. "Sir," he said. Sultan looked at him. "I want to train with you. Just once." Sultan raised an eyebrow. "You still want to fight?" "Me?" he said. "Yes," Riz replied, "but I want to learn something first." Sultan nodded. For the first time, they stood side by side. They trained together, 1-2 punches, hooks, ducks, uppercuts. Riz watched carefully. Sultan moved like water. calm, wise, smooth, not fast, but perfect. After training, Riz asked, "How do you stay so focused?" Sultan replied, "Pain teaches you what matters, and silence helps you hear yourself." Riz didn't fully understand it yet, but he knew he would. Later that night, Riz looked at the crowd outside the gym. People were already lining up. Posters of the fight were everywhere. The world was watching, but this was not just a fight. It was a story of an old man with a broken heart and a young boy looking for meaning. The final day before the fight arrived, everyone in the city was talking about it. The gym was full from morning to night. Reporters, fans, boxers, and old trainers came just to catch a glimpse of the two fighters, the old lion, the young tiger, Sultan. And Riz Sultan walked into the gym like always, slow, quiet, calm. He wasn't dressed like a champion. Just a simple tracksuit, his gloves in his hand, and a towel over his shoulder. But when he entered, people stepped aside. They respected him now, not because of what he said, but because of what he carried: pain, experience, truth. Riz was already there, wrapping his hands. He looked up and nodded to Sultan. This time, he didn't smile. He didn't joke. He simply said, "I'm ready." Sultan looked at him for a moment and replied, "So am I." Mr. Javed stood between them. "Tomorrow is the day," he said. "But tonight, we rest. No more training, no more talking, just silence." Both men nodded. "You'll fight 3 rounds. Clean fight. No disrespect. No cheap shots," Javed added. Riz nodded again. Sultan simply looked down and tightened the tape on his gloves. That night, the gym was closed early, but the world outside was awake. TV channels played clips of Sultan's old fights. Online videos showed his training at the gym. Everyone was talking about how an old man came back from the shadows to teach the new generation. Some believed he would lose. Others believed something bigger was coming. Something powerful. In his small apartment, Sultan sat alone in front of the mirror. He looked at his reflection, a face full of lines, eyes full of pain, hands full of stories. He picked up his gloves and held them close to his chest. Then he looked at the photo of his son. "I'll step into the ring tomorrow," he whispered. "But this fight is for you." Meanwhile, Riz was also in his room. He sat on the floor, gloves beside him, eyes closed. He thought about the first day he mocked the old man, the way he laughed, the way he disrespected him. Now he felt something new, not fear, not guilt, something deeper: respect. The next morning, the gym was decorated like a stadium. Posters of the fight were on the walls. Sultan versus Riz, Old Lion versus Young Tiger chairs were placed in neat rows. A ring was built in the center. The lights were bright. The cameras were ready. People filled every seat. Some were cheering for Riz. Some whispered about Sultan. Some just came to witness history. Backstage, Sultan sat quietly on a wooden bench. Mr. Javed was next to him. "Are you ready?" the trainer asked. Sultan didn't reply. He simply looked at his gloves, then nodded. Mr. Javed placed a hand on his shoulder. "Whatever happens in that ring, you've already won." Sultan looked at him. "I'm not here to win," he said softly. "I'm here to heal." On the other side, Riz was warming up. His hands were shaking a little, but his heart felt steady. His coach came up. "This is your chance, Riz, to prove you're the best." But Riz shook his head. "No," he said. "This is my chance to become better." The bell rang once. It was time. Sultan walked slowly toward the ring. The crowd stood up. Some clapped, some stayed silent, but all eyes were on him. He stepped into the ring, touched the ropes gently, and walked to his corner. Then Riz entered. Faster. Younger. Stronger. He looked around, took a deep breath, and stepped into the ring. The referee brought them to the center. "This is a friendly match," he said. "But fight with heart. Fight with honor." Both men nodded. They touched gloves. The bell hadn't rung yet, but everyone already felt something powerful in the air. In the crowd, some old boxers watched with tears in their eyes. "It's not just a fight," one of them said. "It's a story." The bell rang. Round one. The crowd fell silent. Riz came forward first. Quick jabs. Testing the old man. Sultan blocked, moved, dodged. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He was reading the young fighter. Riz threw a fast left hook. Sultan stepped back, just enough to miss it. Then he countered with a body shot. The crowd gasped. Riz stepped back. That punch hurt. It wasn't fast, but it was perfect. The round continued. Riz threw more punches. Sultan blocked most of them, but a few got through. His lip started to bleed, but he didn't flinch. He didn't even blink. The crowd leaned forward. Cameras zoomed in. The air felt heavier now. Riz stepped forward quickly, his gloves up. He threw 2 jabs and a strong right hook. Bam! The hook hit Sultan in the shoulder. He stepped back, breathing harder. Riz didn't stop. He moved fast, left to right, throwing fast punches, trying to finish the fight. The old man blocked some, dodged others, but one punch landed right on his jaw. Smack! Sultan stumbled. The crowd gasped. In the crowd, a young boy whispered, "Is he okay?" Mr. Javid shouted from the corner, "Guard up, Sultan! Don't let him pull you in!" Sultan didn't fall. He stood straight again, looked at Riz, and nodded. "Good punch," he said softly. Riz blinked. He didn't expect that. Then something changed. Sultan moved forward, not fast, but with purpose. He didn't try to match Riz's speed. He used timing. He watched Riz's eyes. He waited for a mistake, and then he struck. A clean, short punch to the ribs. Thump. Riz froze for a second. He felt that deep. Sultan followed with a quick jab. Not strong, but smart. Right in the center of Riz's gloves, knocking them apart. Then another shot to the body. Bam! Riz backed up, breathing. Heavy now. The crowd stood up. The fight had become real. Sultan wasn't fighting to win. He was fighting to teach, to remind the world and himself what boxing really was. Not anger, not noise, but control, heart, discipline. The round continued. Riz tried to keep up, but Sultan stayed calm. He used the ring like a chessboard. Each step was measured. Each move had meaning. Riz started to get frustrated. He had never faced someone like this before. So quiet, so focused, so deep. Ding. End of round 2. Both men returned to their corners. Riz sat down hard, sweat running down his face. His coach gave him water. "You need to pressure him more." But Riz shook his head. "No," he said. "I need to understand him." In the other corner, Sultan sat quietly. Mr. Javd wiped his face. "Are you okay?" he asked. Sultan smiled slightly. "For the first time in years, I feel alive." Suddenly, the lights in the gym dimmed. A spotlight shined over the ring. The announcer stepped in. "Final round coming up. 1 round to decide it all." The crowd cheered, but inside the ring, everything was silent. Ding! Round 3. Both men stood up slowly. They looked at each other. There was no hate, only understanding. Riz stepped forward and bowed his head slightly, a sign of respect. Sultan did the same. Then they moved, punch for punch, step for step. They were not enemies anymore. They were 2 stories meeting in the middle. Riz landed a clean shot to the head. Sultan countered with a body shot. Riz's glove scraped Sultan's cheek. Sultan's hook brushed Riz's ribs. Each punch said something. "I see you. I respect you. I am not here to hurt you. I am here to wake you." The crowd was silent now. No cheers, no shouting. Just eyes wide open, hearts beating fast. Everyone knew they were watching something rare, something beautiful. Suddenly, Sultan stepped back. He lowered his gloves. Riz stopped, confused. The referee stepped in, but Sultan raised a hand. "I'm okay," he said, but something was wrong. He was breathing. Too fast. His hand shook. Mr. Javed shouted, "Call the fight!" But Sultan raised his gloves again. He looked at Riz. "Let me finish this," he said. Riz stepped back, afraid he had hurt him, but Sultan smiled. "It's okay," he whispered. "It's not about winning anymore." Then he threw one last punch. Slow, heavy uppercut. It missed, but it made a point. He was still standing, still trying, still alive. Ding! The final bell rang. The fight was over, but no one moved. Everyone was frozen. Then slowly, the crowd stood up and began to clap. Slow, steady, powerful, clap, clap, clap. Tears rolled down Mr. Javed's face. The young boys in the gym stood tall, proud. Even Riz looked emotional. He walked to Sultan and hugged him. "You're not just a boxer," he said. "You're a legend," Sultan whispered. "You're the future." The referee raised both their hands. "No winner, no loser," he said. "Only warriors." The crowd cheered louder. Cameras flashed. People cried because they didn't just see a fight. They saw forgiveness, growth, healing. The gym was quiet now. The lights were dim. The crowd had left. Only a few people stayed behind, sweeping the floor, packing up equipment, taking down posters. But Sultan still sat on the bench near the ring. His gloves were off. His hands were bruised. His body was tired. But his heart felt light. For the first time in many years, he wasn't carrying pain. He wasn't holding back tears. He wasn't hiding his story. He had let it all out, in the ring. Mr. Javed walked over and sat beside him. "You okay?" he asked. Sultan nodded slowly. "I feel peace," he said. "Real peace." Javed looked at him with soft eyes. "You gave something to this world tonight." Sultan smiled. "I got something too." In another corner of the gym, Riz stood quietly. He held a towel over his shoulder. His coach had gone home. The cameras were gone too, but he didn't want to leave. He kept thinking about the old man, the way he moved, the way he stayed calm, the way he smiled even when it hurt. Riz walked over to Sultan and sat on the floor near him. "I've never felt like this after a fight," he said. Sultan looked down at him. "That's because this wasn't just a fight." Riz nodded. "It was something else. It felt real, like life." They sat in silence for a while. Then Riz spoke again. "I used to think boxing was about winning, about power, speed, fame." He looked up. "But now I think it's about purpose." Sultan nodded. "Yes, that's why I came back." Riz asked, "Will you keep training? Will you stay at the gym?" Sultan looked at the ring, then at his hands. "I think I've done my part in the ring, but maybe I can still teach." Riz smiled. "Then teach me." The next morning, the video of the fight went viral. Millions of people watched it online. Headlines everywhere said, "The old lion still roars. Sultan's return, a fight that touched the world. No winner, no loser, just respect." People shared the fight, not because of who won, but because of what it meant. Old fighters cried watching it. Young kids got inspired, and across the city, people walked into gyms asking, "Can I learn to fight like Sultan?" At the gym, things changed. Riz came in early every day now. No jokes, no loud music, no mocking others. He trained with focus, and beside him, Sultan watched, guided, corrected. "Lower your shoulders. Don't waste your energy. Listen to the rhythm." Riz followed every word. One day he asked, "You trained your son like this too?" Sultan looked away for a moment. "Yes," he said, "but I was too hard on him. I didn't teach him to be patient, only to be strong." Riz stayed quiet. Then he said, "You're teaching me both." Weeks passed, people kept visiting the gym just to meet Sultan. He never asked for money, never acted like a hero. He just smiled, shook their hands, and said, "Boxing is not about fists, it's about the heart." One afternoon, a boy walked in. He was small, thin, scared. He asked shyly, "Is Sultan here?" Sultan walked up and knelt down to meet his eyes. "You want to learn boxing?" The boy nodded. Sultan smiled. "Then welcome." He gave the boy a pair of gloves, Zayan's old gloves. "They're a little big," Sultan said, "but your hands will grow." Mr. Javed watched with tears in his eyes. Riz smiled from the corner. Sultan had become more than a boxer. He was now a guide, a mentor, a father figure. He had lost one son. But now, he was helping many. One day, Riz found Sultan standing alone, looking at the ring. "You miss fighting?" he asked. Sultan smiled. "No. I miss the silence after the fight." Riz nodded. "I get it now." Then he asked, "Can I ask you something?" "Of course. If I ever become a champion, what should I never forget?" Sultan looked straight at him. "Never forget why you started. Never forget the pain that made you strong. And never fight to hurt. Fight to heal." Riz remembered those words for the rest of his life. Years later, Sultan's story was told in books, short films, and even in schools. Not because he won, but because he showed the world that age is not weakness, and silence can be power. One evening, long after the gym had closed, Sultan sat alone again. He looked at the photo of his son. "I couldn't save you," he whispered. "But I saved myself by saving others." He looked around the quiet gym. It wasn't empty. It was full of memories, full of stories, full of peace. The years passed quietly. The city changed. New gyms opened. New champions rose. But one small gym on a quiet street stayed the same. Sultan's Gym. That's what people called it now. Even though the sign still said Javed Boxing Club, everyone knew it belonged to the old man, the one who taught, with silence, patience, and heart. Sultan was no longer seen in the ring. His body had slowed. His steps had become soft, but his eyes still held fire. Every morning, he came to the gym early, unlocked the doors, and sat on the same wooden bench. He watched the new kids wrap their hands, punch the bag, and learn footwork. He didn't shout. He only spoke when needed, and when he did, everyone listened. Riz had become a professional now. He won medals, titles, tournaments, but no matter how far he went, he always came back to train, to teach, to sit beside the man who changed his life. One day, a reporter visited the gym. She had a camera crew with her. She walked over to Sultan, who was watching two boys spar in the ring. "Sir," she said politely, "we're doing a story on boxing. Legends. May we ask a few questions?" Sultan looked at her. "I'm not a legend," he said. She smiled. "People say you are." Sultan thought for a moment, then said quietly, "If I am, it's because I learned to fight without hate." The interview was short, but the video went viral. In it, Sultan said just one line that touched millions. "A punch is easy, but peace, that takes real strength." That same week, the gym received more students than ever before. Not just boys, girls too. Older men, even some with disabilities. And Sultan welcomed them all. "Boxing is not about breaking people," he told them. "It's about breaking fear." One evening, Riz returned from another big win. He walked into the gym and hugged Sultan. "I won," he said proudly. Sultan smiled and touched his shoulder. "I know. But did you learn?" Riz laughed. "Yes, I learned to keep my heart calm and my fists honest." Sultan nodded. "That's all I ever wanted."